Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake Baldino, and it's the start of a busy fall season of gaming. It's going to be non-stop from here on out, and the first thing we're talking about is Control. This is the latest game from Remedy, the folks behind the original Max Payne, Alan Wake, and more recently, Quantum Break. Now, Control is multi-platform and published by 505 Games, and I gotta say, man, if you are a fan of Remedy games and good single-player, third-person action games, I am happy to confirm this is a damn good one. It's a more unique and engaging game than Quantum Break previously, but also works as just like a really great showcase for all of the strengths of Remedy games. It's tense, it's mysterious, it's challenging, it's aggressive, and it's gorgeous. It's also just a good old-fashioned, no-bullshit video game through and through, and I really appreciate that. But Control, like I said, third-person action-adventure game, but it's a deceptively simple one. You play as Jessie Faden. She's a woman searching for answers and her missing brother. Her search leads her to this Federal Bureau of Control. This is a secret government agency that's in charge of handling otherworldly and supernatural stuff, kind of. They aren't really like, spooky werewolves and vampires in here. It's all more abstract, trippy concepts. Think of the Bureau sort of a mix between Doctor Strange and Ghostbusters. Jessie finds the Bureau's headquarters in New York City, a big, creepy, giant skyscraper known as the Oldest House. And this is where our adventure begins, in a nice little visual nod to the intro of another Remedy game, too, which I liked. Which this game is full of, by the way, like tons of great references and homage paying to other games and media, and Remedy diehards have a lot to enjoy here. But where was I? The main event for this game is the story, the atmosphere, and the action. Like, you're going through this game, experiencing the story through tons of reading materials you pick up, interesting cutscenes, characters, and lots of dialogue voiceover. Now, it manages to maintain a nice pace, balancing a cool line between not quite horror, but definitely supernatural adventure, and the personal story of Jessie. But the pacing works really great while you're actually engaging with the somewhat open structure of the game, because Control is pretty much a linear story in a Metroidvania-style environment. The Oldest House is like this 80s skyscraper Hogwarts. It's filled with hidden passageways, secret areas, extra puzzles, and harder enemies in certain spots. This makes a game like this surprisingly ripe for side exploration on your own, and some nice side quests to get some stuff to make your abilities stronger too, which I'll get to. And of course, there are areas you can revisit and explore more once you have a higher level keycard or new powers that allow you new access, but it's not super focused on that. It's really all about the journey in front of you. Control is a third-person shooter and a fairly simple one. It's simple but effective, I'll say. It takes the best parts of Quantum Break's combat with, the speed and aggression, and kind of puts it in a new perspective here. It's more about movement around the environment and always attacking and using your abilities. There isn't a cover system. You can crouch behind stuff, but that's really about it. It honestly does feel a bit weird at first that you don't have cover until you get used to it, because some enemies will just pelt you and you'll want to take cover, believe me. But you have a supernatural pistol with unlimited ammo and a cooldown. Now, as the game progresses, you can upgrade it into a switchable shotgun blast, longer range, a sort of submachine gun fire, and a couple of other ones. Gunfire sounds incredibly aggressive, and it makes the shooting so satisfying. Now, you can upgrade the gun and get mods for both yourself and your weapons you use that you'll pick up in the environment in little hidden areas. And I like the ability to modify your weapons and but too many times I just found myself picking up a bunch of crappy mods that I wasn't gonna use, and I found myself overstuffed with mods I'd never use quite often, and the menus are kind of weird and it's a little annoying to get rid of them. It's a little tedious. That's a minor nitpick. But thankfully, really, that's not all there is to the game with shooting. It's all about the powers, really. Jessie picks up these abilities to do very strange things, like she could pick up stuff with her mind and throw it across the room. She could rip up the floor and shield herself with it, and eventually temporarily levitate, which is really, really, really impressive and just feels great. And there's a couple of other ones that I won't spoil. The powers all feel really well designed and with incredibly cool feedback, like the vibration of the controller, the sound it makes, the aggression with which it happens on screen. It makes it all feel fresh. I mean, there are plenty of games that you can float around and throw stuff at people with your mind, but Controls still manages to feel new and fresh. There are a lot of different enemy types. I wish there were more, though, but when they're challenging, it's when the combat is at its best, at least for me personally. Now, it does come dangerously close to getting repetitive here and there, but challenges and new abilities are introduced, I'd say, just enough to where, for me, I didn't really get bored. But that's going to come down to the individual user, I think. I don't know. But, say when you're facing off against corrupted, freaky creatures and half-men with guns and rocket launchers, and they're shooting at you, and you're shooting at them while ripping chunks out of the wall and throwing it at their faces and zipping around and shit, it's amazing to see in motion. And this is thanks in part to the graphics. Not only does the game look really damn good, it's about the visual effects on screen. Like the explosions, the smoke, the sparks all look really damn good. Better than any game I've seen in a while. To the point where an explosion went off in front of my face and I went, wow, out loud. Seriously. Also in conjunction with that, the destruction. I never expected this game to be one of the best Matrix games, but it kind of is. Like, by that I mean, like, you get the ultra satisfying feeling of finishing a firefight and realizing the room you just fought in is completely destroyed. And really realistically, pillars are shot up, tiles are falling off the walls, the ground is crunched in from where you superhero land, glass is shattered from you blasting through it, papers are flying everywhere, there's smoke. I didn't expect the game to have so much realistic destruction, but to me it does a really good job of making the game feel new, current, like almost like next-gen physics and destruction. Seriously, I know that sounds crazy. And on PC, where I captured this footage, the game is an absolute champ. There is downtime though. There's plenty of wandering around this big place, searching where to go next, and maybe looking for more secrets. There's an easily accessible map, but it's still pretty easy to get lost. I think it's because the game doesn't really want you just following an arrow and not paying attention to the surroundings. So I think I like that. But I also wish the map had more options and uses for it, like the ability to, say mark locked doors or sectioned off areas with just a bit more specificity. Especially because I hope people don't miss out on going back and completing side diversions, because some of them are where the game really gets the most creative and more challenging. There are some puzzles in the game that really put me on my ass and made me feel kind of stupid. But it's all worth it because you're working to, get more stuff, and also you can upgrade a skill tree. The skill tree is relatively simple, very traditional. Every ability you get has a branching tree that you can then put more points into and which one you want to flesh out and make stronger. It's simple, it's nothing really new, but it is very satisfying and it works and it kept me playing. It gave me that satisfying sense of developing and growing. And also, the checkpoints can be kind of rough. You unlock these control points that are kind of like fast travel and respawn points, but sometimes doing a side diversion, you'll get so deep in, die, and start way back somewhere that put you at a weird one, and you have to struggle to find your way back to whatever you were doing in the first place. So good luck with that. It just feels a bit rough and doesn't actually add difficulty, just annoyance. Aside from normal stuff, there are also these random instances that can pop up occasionally where you'll need to revisit an area and take down a bad man or a group of bad men or something, and they're usually extra challenging. To have that pop up and just give you a random notification to go somewhere and do a random side thing, it was an odd choice at first to have this instant stuff, at least for me, but it worked to keep me playing a little bit longer, and I only did a few. It didn't become intrusive or annoying like it could in another game or like an RPG or something like that. Still, it's something designed definitely for if you're into, acquiring and crafting and making the weapon mods. For me, I just wanted to upgrade my gun and then settle on the mods I had and just live with that. But if you're pursuing more and you want to tweak more constantly, this is good for that. Still, I gotta say, the way this game tells its story, from the action to the music, and lack thereof at times, and trippy sequences, and just how new areas are introduced, and how fonts look, and how the vibe is, and how scenes jump from one to another, even how cutscenes are edited and framed, all make Control feel like such a damn treat, man. I didn't want it to end. Although, when it does, it doesn't quite stick the landing, but still, it's a great journey. Lengthwise, it feels like a standard single-player playthrough, longer than Quantum Break for sure, but for real, I couldn't put it down. The environment is huge. You'll find yourself exploring this weird place for hours and hours, all the while just blasting dudes with cool powers. Because it's a trip, honestly. It's a weird, freaky trip filled with memorable moments and awesome set pieces, and I loved every second of it. If you love Alan Wake specifically, you'll be very happy with how this game feels. This is just a good single-player game, so pay attention. But hey, that's a before you buy. You know how this works. By now, we've been doing this forever. I give you some pros, some cons, some personal opinion, and now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Are you looking forward to Control? And also, what's your favorite Remedy game? We've gotten our hands on a review copy, so I've been playing this thing for about 2 weeks. So if you got any questions for me, be sure to hit me up in the comments. We'll try to get to who we can, but also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Jake Baldino. If you enjoyed this video and maybe it informed your purchase or something like that, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out, man. We'd really appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
The janitor, by the way. You'll work for me. You can say I sent you. If they don't hire you, you're helvet. There be work for the axe. Take them behind.